Track 7 is what we're up to.
It's called Sales.
Sales.
Yeah, it's the career that I chose. No, the spelling is very clearly S-A-I-L-S, sales.
Even placement of this song would have had a lot of thought. It is in a flow of an album following.
No, we genuinely struggled with exactly that.
What you've just heard. Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of perfectly placed because of how dark the ending of Charcoal Grace, like of Give Me Hell Part 4 of Charcoal Grace is. It ends so
lyrically and musically.
Lyrically and musically,
it literally catches fire. That was that was the idea. The way it
hellfire
feels.
shit right at the end. There's like Sales has like a much gentler tone and musically and lyrically it's more of a tone of acceptance as well, and kind of understanding that it's like it's almost like a piece of advice to younger generations from an older generation, basically saying that it's like patience is important and understanding that these challenges are things, even unexpected ones like everything that we went through, are things that will happen. And you can't control that. All you can control is how you respond to it. And, you know, that's the kind of message of the song. And which in its own way is kind of sad because it's just like, here we are in the shit and on we go, you know.
But it doesn't make it any less true, you know.
Yeah.
But I remember struggling to write this because I think the direction for the song, again, it was another one that, you know, we had to try a bunch of things before it came out. But this almost like balletic kind of like prog rock kind of song, mellotrons, organs, things like that. Made it make sense to me. I think there was a period where I was actually sort of not particularly enthused. I think you were the one fighting for it as a kind of place in the album.
Like son of a bitch.
Once it started coming together, especially the outro and the way the outro relates to the Stormchaser, and I think I got really excited by that. But yeah, just a short moment of you know, just a respite, I suppose, like after Charcoal Grace. How else do you follow up something that gets about as heavy as anything in our catalogue? We decided the only way to do it was with contrast. It just had to be something that gave you a quiet moment.
There is ebb and flow throughout Charcoal Grace in terms of it, like we were talking about the Vigil dropping away to just the acoustic guitar and stuff. Yeah. But in terms of its conceptual intensity, the album has been pretty fucking hardcore up to this point.
No, you've got a solid 5 or 6 minutes of very, very heavy, dense music as well.
So it feels really nice to hear, and it's quite sort of, I feel the chorus is very sing-alongy and gentle and kind of nice, and it kind of ends with that beautiful instrumental guitar stuff as well.
Stormchaser
big soaring, the themes from the Stormchaser coming in, which is awesome. I love putting motifs and stuff, but just like that, it does. Sales definitely does have the character of, you know, gentle waves and gentle ocean imagery. Whereas when we get into the Stormchaser, we'll talk about it. It's much more storm themed. Yeah.
Next,
yes, it is.
Let's talk about the Stormchaser. Stormchaser is actually a very unique song, like in a bunch of ways, in a musical sense. One element which is kind of notable is that it was a song that I think it was the last song we wrote. It might have been Sales, might have been Stormchaser. They were both kind of towards the end of the production. But one of the interesting aspects of that is I remember Dale and I had a couple of sessions booked together just to do some writing. Towards the end of the album, he wanted to kind of get in and like have his fingerprint on a little bit more. And I remember he showed up one morning, and I think I had just finished something. I don't know what it would have been. It might have been some of Mute or something. Breakfast. Might have been some of Mute or something. But the crux of the point I'm making is I didn't really have anything on the go that we could work on. So he showed up in the morning. I said, "Cool, let's spend the next couple of days creating a piece of music." And we ended up creating all of those soft synth parts, which really have very little to do with, you know, Caligula source aesthetic in a lot of ways, or at least certainly not as central parts. But by the end of that first day, I think we had the verse, a rudimentary version of the chorus. I think I even had some of the intro themes in the words.
I had tons to work with.
So yeah, the point is, like, it sort of developed very quickly as soon as we knew what it was going to be. But notably, besides the synth being a really key element, it only has single coil guitars, which is kind of interesting. Like, it's only kind of stratty, you know, very watery, kind of hollow, scooped kind of sounds. And as a feature element, the bass certainly takes over a lot of the guitar's kind of prominence.
Definitely in the verses with that beautiful pulse. You know.
There's really not, a huge amount of guitar in the song, but, in that sense, it's aesthetically quite different.
What I'll talk about is I was actually away on holiday. I was actually away on my 10-year wedding anniversary while these guys were doing their thing, and didn't invite me, which was...
Deliberately, because he gets like this.
I get
Listen to coffee is useless.
I'm just upsetting. And I remember it was one of those ones where it's like they sent it through and I immediately had stuff and I love those and I can't just kind of let it lie. And so it was at night, I just couldn't sleep because of it. It was one of those ones where it's just like, I'm gonna have to get up and go work on this. So like roll out of bed, I've got my phone out, headphones in, just typing shit into my notes app on my phone, like over and over again. And all of the verses, because you had those.
The verses
and actually the chorus as well, though.
Yeah.
The general, that rhythmic pulse of the vocal that came was like one of the first things that I had. I'm like, okay, that's sick. And then everything came almost at once. And so this, in terms of like lyrics and vocal approach and stuff like that, it happened all at once while I was away because I couldn't help it. It was just like, this is good. It's going to happen now. Like, yeah.
Sometimes I feel like the last song we write, I sort of have these just holdovers from, could we have got more out of it or whatever. Stormchaser is not that. I'm totally satisfied with how this came together. I think it's a really cool tune, which is different enough from a lot of the other things we do, but it's also the token Purdy Shuffle song. Different enough.
It is.
I say, as I point out, it's the token Purdy Shuffle song in the in the bridge section. But it's a very different approach to a triplet than we've done in the past. Kind of, less syncopation in the choruses, a little bit more of a rolling vibe, like it just oscillates in the background.
And it definitely has that kind of like we're here from calm seas into surging seas kind of emotion to it, because obviously the lyrical themes of, diving when you could choose to float, like, working together, because the message of the song in this one is it's probably, I think probably the most angry I've been in terms of like lyrical content of a song.
So the outro probably like embodies
100%, yeah, that energy. I want to talk about that in a second as well.
Yeah, you forgot, didn't you?
I did. Dave, about that coffee, man. Yeah, like so the lyrical content being basically, this is the most micro-focused, direct experience, personal loss of faith in humanity based on the things that we just kept seeing, even in our, like, not just broadly on the internet or in the news or whatever, but just like at home, people hoarding toilet paper and fucking doing absurd things like that, like every man for himself tone, when really like the consensus would have helped. Like the thing that we needed to do was just all do the right thing.
Just briefly get it done
for the sake of those of us that are, the most fragile. It's like we were supposed to be looking after each other, and people immediately went into this like insane mode. And it wasn't just the toilet paper hoarding, it was like your anti-vaxxers, it was your conspiracy theorists, all of the people that basically then took, instead of looking after other people, their choice was to sacrifice the most of us in need for nothing more than their need to be right about the thing that they've been talking shit about. Like, and it just again, it radicalized people and it made them just totally over the top. And I think the hypocrisy of the fact that a lot of that came from people that are in organizations of one kind or another that are all about, like looking after people and peace and love, man, and like all of that kind of stuff. And then they took that and ran with it and like used their peace and love image as a shield to do awful things, and that hypocrisy just fucking kills me. And so like I was really angry when I wrote this one, and that's why it kind of came out entirely that way. And the outro, as Sam said, is very much a reflection of that, because it's such an angry delivery. But what excites me is that like I'm going to talk about Michael Jackson again. It's going to happen in like every the end of the song, Earth Song, is one of my favorite moments in Michael Jackson's catalog. It's like one of those songs that has like a bit of his cheesy kind of melodic, over-the-top emotional verses earlier on, but ends with this enormous vocal performance, which is just so emotional and angry and awesome. And I feel happy that I've been able to have my little Earth Song moment on this album. I'm stoked.
Your angry Earth Song.
My angry Earth Song.
I suppose Earth Song's actually kind of
angry. It's
very
anyway. Angry, dude. Go listen.
Yes. Okay. Maybe the other option would be that we don't actually change chords. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's just ornamental for a bit. Okay. So we land on this A, but we just kind of keep like maybe it's like a bass riff, that like lives around that G. Actually, let's change key. What's like a better low note for you?
I love B.
Yeah, B would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Going on the second fret.
B and C sounds great.
See, that I like. There's no chord change. I got to just kill these drums just because it's making me hear it a certain way.
Yeah.
But that's pretty good though.